I have a real treat for you today, right? This is going to be a good conversation. We've got Ed. Ed, is it Boulanger or Boulanger? How do you pronounce the last name?
So if you want to be French and fancy, it's Boulanger. If you want to cut it up American style, it's Boulanger.
Boulanger. Okay. Well, Ed is here. Ed is here, you know, and I've known of Ed and known Ed for a while. You know, we connected on another Facebook group. I consider our sister group, REMCM, Real Estate Marketing and Conversion Mastery. Awesome group. That's where I knew about Ed, and I've been following him for a while. Really smart guy, doing things that he did a lot of things that I've been doing in my life, just at a bigger scale, like 10x larger, you know, as a real estate agent, as an investor, and as a marketer in real estate. So definitely someone I'm always listening to. I see his comments. Great sense of humor too. If you follow on Facebook, he's always going to give a great comment out there. And has a great journey, right? So Ed is running his real estate team now, but he had a really big agency, a massive agency actually, doing a lot of business, and he exited that last year. I'd love to talk about that too, Ed. But I'll let you do the introduction. Introduce yourself to the audience, Ed. Who are you? How'd you get into real estate? And what has been that journey from real estate agent, investor, marketer to where you are now?
Sure. Thanks, Gus. You're too kind, way too kind. I've just been very fortunate, and I've taken a lot of things that I've learned from other people, just kind of twisted them and made them my own. And, you know, so my success, I owe to a lot of people, a lot of it REMCM, which you mentioned, a lot of what I learned, a lot of those building blocks came from there. So to them, I'm forever grateful. To all my quote unquote beta kids, you guys are amazing. But for me, so I've always been in sales my entire life. So going from 18, 19, I was in school full time, in college, worked full time. I sold cars, I sold phones, I sold satellite dishes, whatever I could do to kind of hone my skills, right? In every one of those fields, kind of just led to something else, right? I learned something from selling cars. I learned something from selling phones, from selling satellite dishes. Took that and went into a sales manager job at Radio Shack, way back when.
Hey, man, back in the day, eh?
Like the young kids don't know about Radio Shack, right? Like they don't know about that life.
Yeah.
But I was there.
Circuit City, it's another one, right? Circuit City, like,
yeah.
what the heck is that, right? So yeah.
But I was there for 2 years as a sales manager. I was manager of the month in my district, 14 months in a row.
Wow.
And I got that through people, right? So through my people. But real estate kind of happened by accident. Like I was living back in Boston, and I always liked, you know, looking at homes and driving by homes, going to open houses. I was the guy that everyone hated. No intention of buying a home, right? I'm like a nosy neighbor, but I wanted to see the house. And so I went to one open house, and the realtor said, listen, if you love real estate, good talking and some small talk and what I did for work. And
I've seen you like 18 open houses throughout the year, right? Something like that, right?
Right. Either you like houses or you have a problem, right? Like we're not sure what it is yet if you're unstable. But she's like, listen, Stick, why don't you just try and give real estate a shot? So I got my license. I was doing it part-time back then. And then, of course, the housing crash happened. But I kept it anyways. I kept active and got on a really good team, learned some really good systems. So my first thought was a team, right? I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anything about anything, right? I was a green agent. I didn't know how to get leads. I didn't know how to convert them, which is the biggest problem I think most agents have is you get into the business and you think it's going to be easy, but it's not. Like it's a grind every single day. Like whatever I do today affects me in 90 days.
Yeah.
So
you know, I have a theory, Ed, that people that have some kind of sales background before they get into real estate have a huge leg up on 99% of people that go into real estate, because I think people to their detriment realize it's a sales job. It's a lead generation, lead follow-up, lead conversion job. Then you get into the showing the homes and doing the transactions and contracts. But if you don't do that part first, kind of wait for it, it's a huge point of failure. But anyways, keep going. I 100% agree with what you're saying.
You know, but going back to my very first team leader, to her credit, she drilled into me that what I do today affects me 90 days. So if I don't have at least 5 meaningful conversations today, in 90 days, I have no closings.
Gotcha.
Right?
The commission only world, basically, right? Like this is your life.
Right. And you can do that different ways. Like, you know this, you can do open houses, you can run cold leads, you can do all different kind of strategies to get leads. My favorite as a new agent was I bought a stack of 1,000 business cards. I took 20 cards every single day, and everywhere I went, wherever I spoke to someone, if I got a coffee somewhere, or I went to the supermarket, even if the people were rude or terrible, I give them my card to give them a compliment. Listen, Mr. Cashier, Miss Barista, listen, I appreciate you taking time out of your day today to help me. It means a lot to me. It made my day a lot better. Listen, I'm a real estate agent. I'm not trying to sell you a home. But if you ever need anything, if you need help with a recommendation for a plumber or whatever it is, I have people that I know that I can trust, that I use for myself and my family. Let me help you.
And you would give them a business card. You would give them a business card. You would do it 20 times a day?
20 times a day.
Wow. I would, as a team leader, I always struggle with people do that once a day. Like meet someone and tell them you were in real estate once a day. So you did 20x that. Awesome.
Right. So I'd go out of my way. If I was in the supermarket, I would purposely say, hey, listen, can you get that for me? Right in an aisle somewhere, just to have a conversation.
That's
right.
Awesome.
Or I'd go to the meat counter and ask about the meat or the fish of the day, whatever it was. Even if I didn't buy anything, man, listen, you really helped me today. I appreciate you. I feel it. I owe you to return the favor. Right. A lot of reciprocity, which is huge.
Yeah.
Right. So I give out 20 a day. Maybe I get 2 calls back within 90 days, whatever it was, for certain things. Right. So 2 out of 21 at 10%. But that compounds, right?
If you're doing it every day in 90 days, you're going to be busy, right? You're going to be busy.
So initially, that's how I built my business.
Cool.
Was I didn't have a lot of money. Right? I was still in college, doing my thing, and that's how I really doing it part time. I didn't want to put a lot of money to it. I'm like, well, maybe it's not going to stick. But that's initially how I built my business.
Cool.
That and open houses. Open houses, if done properly, are amazing. In this market now, who cares, right? The houses are gone before the open house hits.
Yeah.
But back then we had like 5 months of inventory. It was fantastic. After the
more balanced market. A more balanced market favors the more skilled agent, right? 100%. You actually have more of an opportunity to show your skill. But Ed, that's a really good topic. Let's open a parenthesis. What's a properly run open house? Like the 2-minute definition. What is a properly run
2-minute definition? So my basic playbook, and part of it comes from what KW teaches, which is the Rockstar Open House. Yeah. It's farming the neighborhood a couple of days before, right?
Gotcha.
It's going out, door knocking. Hey, listen. And it's not like, oh, do you want to buy or sell your house? Listen, I'm going to have an open house here on Saturday from 10 to 2. It's going to be busy. It's going to be a lot of cars. I apologize if you have any problems with what's going on. Here's my card. Listen, if you want to take a look at the house, we have a nosy neighbor open house the night before with the homeowner there, so they don't come on Saturday. So they're invited. They feel special. If anyone is looking to be your neighbor, you get to pick your neighbor. Come to the open house. The special one on Friday night from 7 to 8, you have cocktails, cheese, crackers, whatever. And then I'd run a Facebook ad, put it all over the place. That was the best way that I found open house. Super short and sweet, is walk the neighborhood.
Use it as an excuse, right? I love that, because I hate it when people kind of show up to the open house and expect people just to show up, right? Again, you might get lucky, but that's where you hear the very inconsistent results from open houses. If you don't take it as a prospecting opportunity. So I would do everything you said. I would prospect sometimes just 20 doors, sometimes up to 100 doors, just depending how much time I had for my open houses. And then towards the end of my real estate, this is why I took off on ISA. I dial 1,000 numbers around each property, right? That 1 hour, 2 hours of, well, it'd probably take a little bit longer, 3 hours of dialing was very efficient. I was like, that's when I kind of went off on something else. But open houses is kind of where I got into that model. Like, holy cow, working these open houses should give you immediately another transaction. It just something there, a buyer that showed up, someone you door knocked, a postcard, a call, something has to generate something immediately. Well, almost 90 days. Immediately in real estate was in 90 days, 100%. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And keep going.
Sure. But I have agents like in my area who crush it. Like they'll pull 2 or 3 buyers from open house. 100%. Who don't have agents, who really don't have agents, right? Everyone's like, oh, it's signed in here. Give them a reason to sign in. Exactly. I always bribe them. Right? I give them $100 gift card. But you sign in or whatever. You get entered in. to a local restaurant. And then that would get donated by the restaurant for free for advertising purposes, right? Give them a reason. Because most times they come in and it's like, you go to a store, can I help you? And you're like, no, don't help me. Like you have the defense mechanism up because you're waiting for them to like just jump on you.
Sell you on that one, right? Yeah. 100%.
So I did that for a while, built up a really good business. I had a good sphere too. But selling quite a few homes a year, 50, 60 a year back then, was a single agent, had a small team there. And then I kind of get out of real estate for a while. Opened up a small business, got divorced. That went away. But then I moved to Charlotte in 2015 and kind of just picked up again, right? So started a small business here. I knew nobody. Wow. And get back into real estate.
Wicked. No, and it's a good time. Now that area has blown up the last few years, right? Relative, I don't know how it is right now, but relatively low cost of living, tech sector, big universities around, right? So really interesting time to move. That's a great area. It's a great area, like a relatively low cost of living. Yeah, my bad.
It's getting ridiculous.
You know, but a lot of growth in that area, right?
Yep. So I was doing real estate here, doing okay. It's not really my passion. My passion has always been like helping people, right? So training my people, that kind of stuff. So I kind of fell into marketing, and a few people that I knew locally who were like, oh, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to set up my KV course website, all that. So I did that to them for nothing, for free, right? It's my hobby. It was like kind of the geeky stuff. And then I wanted to kind of grow my business. I'm like, well, how do I do this? Like I ran out of options. I did Facebook ads. We did okay. Back then, cost per lead was like $10 a lead for me. I'm like, oh, this is garbage. Kind of fell into REMCM through someone else I knew, and that kind of changed everything, right? So then I pivoted from being a realtor to marketer. That was back in April of 2019.
I got you. No, that makes sense. But you did it differently though. I remember kind of seeing that journey that you were on. I probably hit that group a little bit later, probably the summer of 2019. And I got to see you. I saw, what you were doing, and you were one of the first marketers that I knew of that was talking to not individual real estate agents, either teams or brokerages, and you were intentional about that, saying, yeah, I'm going to go for kind of these bigger fish. And I think most of us are like, well, I mean, that's great, Ed, but how do you do that, right? Like, so tell me about that, right? What kind of got you into kind of looking for that bigger client, that bigger deal? And how, because I think it's obvious for people, oh yeah, bigger clients, but how do you get into that space, right? So how did that go for you, and how did that agency kind of take off?
So I realized in the very beginning, right? So I had friends who was doing stuff for free, right? I'll run it after you for free while I'm learning, right? I'm kind of building my portfolio, building my stuff, and do that for a couple months. Then I'm like, well, listen, why don't you pay me like $500 a month or $1,000 a month, right? I need,
for your friend, real estate agents, agent friends.
Single agent friends, and like, well, I can't afford that, or right, because they've been burned before. I get like internet leads. If you don't know how to convert them, they suck.
They're the worst thing ever.
Right? You convert 1%, 2%, 3%, 5% if you're really good. If you have a really good system in place. But that's a numbers game, and most agents don't want to call. If you want to call a lead properly, it's within 5 minutes, right? You're calling at least 10 times, right? Because your conversion gets better around call 6 or 7. You know this. Yeah. So at that point, like I hired outside companies. I'm like, I don't want to make phone calls. No, no way in hell. So I realized quickly that they didn't see the value in it, right? Or they didn't want to make phone calls. They didn't want to pay for an ISA, right? An ISA can be expensive, $4 or $5, $6 a lead, but it's worth it. But the cycle is so long, it's like 90 days, 120 days, that they're $3, $4, $5, $10, $20,000 deep before they start getting deals, right?
Exactly.
So a lot of those agents don't have that deep pocket. I'm like, well, I know teams, I know brokerages, I'm an agent, so I need an easier way. So some of the framework from REMCM was quote unquote paid the pitch. I'm like, well, I'll just do it for free. I'll get a lender to come in, they'll pay for lunch. I'll have another vendor come in and they'll pay $500 for 1 month of ad spend, which we drew cards. So I would run the ads for free for a month for $500 in ad spend, just to kind of get the word out.
Gotcha.
Right? And teams saw the value, especially with the ISA component, which is super important, which I think takes you from maybe a 1% conversion to a 3%, 4%, 5%. Right? Because I think the biggest thing is the people, agents who can afford for marketing, they have a good business, they don't have time to make phone calls, they're already busy, right? So you can duplicate yourself and have someone else be you and just booking your calendar, which I think is huge. So to you, obviously, thank you, because you really have it nailed down really well, because you have to call within 5 minutes. You have to do all kinds of stuff that I don't have time for, and I don't want to make 500 phone calls a day. Just don't.
Gotcha. No, and one of the things that we found, like, they do this so long now, is that agents are actually not that, I mean, the ones that are really on it are not that terrible at that first call. They're actually pretty decent on that first call. The problem is they're not great at that second call, third call, I mean, the long tail of that. Actually, there's two challenges. One is they don't have the patience to make more than multiple calls to get the contact. And when they make the contact, a lot of them, the script isn't on point. It's a script from 5 years ago, right? It's a convert now kind of script, and the consumer has wised up to that. The consumer's way better. They evolve as much as the market evolves. Those leads are getting shared with 5 other agents, right? Maybe by the person that's selling them to you, right? So there's those two challenges. The value prop might not be there at all when they talk to them, hence the leads suck, or they don't make enough calls and they never talk to them. Also, the leads suck. So those are my two great, the leads suck kind of avenues of, you're talking to people, no one's converting, probably you and your offer, or you're not even talking to anybody, not even making enough contact attempts. So that's my take on that, right? It's a challenge, and I have empathy. I'm an agent, right? I'm an agent as well. I have empathy for those challenges, because sometimes it's the blind leading the blind, 100%. So you taking that education approach of, hey, like, this is how it's done, this is how it's done properly, and this is how, don't do it this way, do it that way. I love that. That's what I'm all about, 100%. If anything, I'm a teacher at heart, and everything afterwards, right? So that, but that, I agree with that. That's the best way to build brand, to build awareness. Because for us, or probably I say a lot, not every client that we hire, not everyone, but a lot of the clients that come to us, they know what we do. They're like, sign me up. Like, I know Gus, I know what you guys do. Now is the time for me, right? Because we've educated them on what an ISA is, what they can do, what they can't do, what works, what's the best way to use them right now, all these things, right? So like, okay, great, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Let's do this. But that has worked for us for the individual. We're still more focused on the individual agent. You made that jump to the teams and brokerages. Was that doing that? I mean, pay to pitch, the teams were the ones that approached you, or were you purposeful in making sure teams attended those things? What do you think was a big factor in you in focusing on those bigger clients?
So for me, it was, I just made phone calls, right? So I'd call ABC real estate team at KW or EXP or Century 21 or Remax. Hey, listen, I'm a local agent just like you. I've done very well with some marketing. Listen, I have some time this week. I had someone cancel on me, right? So I make them feel bad for me. Listen, do you mind if I come in and just help you educate your team? A very small amount of lead generation, but really the follow-up, right? Which was just the conversion. Let me help you, help your team.
Get more deals from these leads.
Right, get more deals. I'll bring a lender. They'll give your agents lunch. Another lender will kick in some ad spend money. It's a win-win.
And this is not your brokerage. This is not, you didn't have any relationship with them necessarily. You just said, hey, this might be awesome for you guys.
I'm offering you a free service. It helps you, it helps me, and we're all good, right? So one hand washes the other.
Love it.
Right? It's an offer they couldn't refuse. Free training.
Free training,
no pressure.
Free food. Let's get people in there. Right?
And I never actually hit them with a pitch at the end. It was just value. So it was like a lunch and learn, right?
Lunch and learn. Love it.
Just straight value. If you find value and you think down the road you want to hire someone, all I ask is that you give me a call. Let me interview for the job. That was it.
Gotcha. Love it. Love that. Awesome. And that started opening the doors with you, not just with the agents, but also with the brokerages and the larger teams, not just with that agent, right? Like with the individual agents. That's awesome. And where did the agency go? So that's where you started. You started $500 a month for a couple friends. Then you took this to the paid to pitch. You educated the offices around you, right? That's another huge advantage for a lot of agencies, that you can physically go to a lot of offices. If you're based in the US, right? Because a lot of folks outside the US, and that's awesome. I'm outside the US, so I get it. But a huge advantage that I think a lot of the US based folks have, they don't realize, you can walk down the street and find a client, right? I mean, not like literally that, but you can go and meet them. You can physically go and add value to them in person. Again, we're past COVID now. It should be okay. You can go there and do something in person, right? Which I think is like, wow, that is like a huge, I can't do that. It's harder to do that for me than for someone that's physically there. So how did you go from that to kind of, where'd that agency go after that when you were starting?
So sure. So the agency, I think I started the agency in like June. So a couple of friends, it was rough. I sucked at what I did. It was terrible. You know, I keep a client for 2-3 months, I'd lose them until I got into teams, right?
Yeah,
that's when I really, my first big deal, like I think I was doing like 10-12,000 a month for a couple of months, you know, losing clients every couple of weeks, didn't know what I was doing really well. Like I knew the ads, but I couldn't up with conversion. Didn't have a good ISA yet, right? The add-on that I asked you for, so it was required. So if you want to use me for marketing, you're using an ISA, and this is why, right? Otherwise you're wasting your money. And I was pretty upfront about that. I signed my first big client. It was actually a mortgage broker, a company, which is 100,000 a month. They wanted to grow into new areas. So they were taking real estate leads. They were converting them to mortgage, then handing them off to agents, right?
I love that. You know, I am shocked more mortgage brokers don't figure that out. Like, you know, like, yeah, it's expensive to get leads. Yeah, I just spend money, but you get the agent, you keep the agent happy, right? Like you can give them some deals. Like, it always boggles my mind that the number one people running ads and are not mortgage brokers, right? It's like shocking to me.
I mean, they should be, because here's what you're doing. You're different. Every other mortgage broker that I know, let me take you to lunch, right?
That's it.
Let me take you to happy hour. Right, and they go out to the new agents who don't have a lender yet. Guess what? They're not closing any deals. They're new.
Yeah.
Right. And if they're new and they're smart,
referral, right?
Right. If they're smart and they're new, they want a team. Yeah, you make less money, but you learn. Yeah. Like my first team taught me everything. If I tried as a single agent, I would have failed. Right? Because I didn't know what I didn't know. I came out of real estate school, knew how to not get out of real estate and get into real estate jail. That was it. That was it. That's all I knew.
Pretty much. Yeah, so that was your first big break, your first big client. 100 grand a month is ridiculous. That's a huge amount to have to invest. And we're a big company, right? Like, hey, right. And they were growth minded, growth costs. So they wanted to expand, they wanted to bring it in, and they knew they had to spend that. So night and day from the agent that's struggling to spend $500 a month, $1,000 a month, and then you go to someone saying, "Oh, I want to spend $100,000 a month." That was like boom, kind of opened your eyes to that, I guess.
So that was my first big break.
Gotcha.
And then the agents who were getting those deals, right? Those referrals from the broker. Now that, you know, where are you getting those from? So I get a few small deals from there, but I went after the bigger fish, right? I quickly learned nothing against single agents. They just don't see the bigger picture.
It's hard.
Right? They don't see the long game. And so long story short, did really well. I got a couple of teams, big brokerages. I got as high as $817 a month for retainers.
So just so people understand, that's $800,000 a month. Just so people kind of don't miss that number. It's a massive number. That's I remember when I heard that number, my agency wasn't doing that a year, right? I was like, wait, hold the phone, hold the cow. Like, what? Amazing. So I remember that, you know, you were probably on an interview around that time. That was like just kind of blew away that number. But that was because you were focusing on something different. You're doing something different than most agencies, right? Right. When you focus on the smaller fish, you have to talk a lot of people versus those bigger fish.
Right. You know, and then I think the key thing with that was that I never ran paid ads for my agency. I had power partner programs. So if I had Bob and Sue broker, listen, you refer me a client, I'll give you $500 a month in credit towards your service. Right. And that was continual, right? So for as long as they're with me, I'll pay you $500 a head, recurring income, right? I'll help you, help your friends, but I'll help you. And that's kind of how I grew, was grassroots, all referrals. So it was super easy.
So the business, so brokerage owners, no other brokerage owners. It's kind of our team leaders, no other team leaders in that sense, right?
Yep.
I love that.
So I did that. COVID hit pretty hard. I took a pretty big hit on during COVID.
Yeah, for sure.
It went from 817, which is my best month, down to 625.
Wow, still not bad.
It's huge.
I mean, it's a big drop. It's a big drop. It's a big drop, but that's
a big drop. And then at that point, I'm like, well, listen, it's really like it's a rat race, right? So another sales job. I was looking for the next phone call, the next lunch and learn. I said, I want to focus on agent stuff. So
back to basics, back to, getting the home sold and marketed.
Yeah. So exited from that, sold the business, and now I'm focused more on just smaller agents, coaching, which is what I enjoy more than anything else. The marketing was to see if I could do it, right? It was something I've never done before.
Oh, and you blew that up, to be really honest with you, Ed. I mean, that was nothing to sneeze at. So your foray into the digital marketing space, pretty impressive, man.
So now it's really focused on smaller agents, smaller teams, not doing their marketing anymore, because really Facebook marketing is super easy. They took away all of our tricks, right? Yep. All the stuff that you and I learned to really be really good, it's gone. Right.
The special ads category, limiting the targeting, limiting everything, but basically set it and forget it now. It's like it works or it doesn't work, basically.
So, I mean, if they want to have their ads run, I let my VA run them. I don't even charge them. Here, I'll run your ads for you. Get into my coaching program and I'll teach you the different ways. So when everyone else is doing this, you're going to do this. Right. And that's kind of what I've always done in my agents. My career is, if everyone is doing one thing, I'm going to do it for a while. I'm going to figure out what I like and then what I can tweak to make it different.
I love that.
Just like with marketing, like I can run homes lists. Everyone's running the same offer, right? Or the 8 tricks to improve your home value, or the home valuation gag. Do they work? Yeah, but everyone's doing them. So you don't stand out. You're not building a brand. You're not different.
Right. No, that makes sense. And, and that's a great segue into the topic I wanted to talk about next, which is, okay, there was a thread in the group a few weeks ago talking about, I think Michael was asking, hey, who's calling for sell-by owners? What are your numbers looking like? And kind of a mixed response, like, oh, not really, but I've seen this and this and that. Not many people, doing that right now. And then you dropped a comment which was like a bomb. I got direct messages saying, who is this Ed guy? What's he talking about? You talked about how you had a different, exactly what you just said, a different approach. You were targeting FSBOs, right? But you had a different take on it, a value-based approach, getting them to call you. And the end result was they were coming to you at the end of the day saying, hey, Ed, help me out here, right? So, and people were like, wait, what? Like, what is that? And, so it's a great setup. That is kind of what we saw. I would love for you to go in and start it from that point of saying, okay, everyone, when they approach FSBOs, like you said, essentially the same approach, the approach that I see, either via an ISA to qualify them, or the agent making the calls and relying on their raw skill set to like dance and fight it off with them and try to beat them into submission. That's the typical approach. A really skilled agent can defeat a FSBO most days of the week, right? But it's a challenge to get them on the phone and get them in the right mindset. And it's 8-9 touches over so many months. But that's the goal. Defeat them, beat the FSBO, right? Get them to list. That's what they want to do. That's the general approach. But you took a look at that and said, okay, we can do something different.
Of course, because I was doing that. I had the same 4 or 5 scripts, right? So it's right. So if something went up listed on FSBO or was expired, right? I was taught you get on the phone right away. You beat them up, right? So now they've gotten 8, 10, 12 phone calls, all using the same
only
script.
People calling them sometimes are agents. They're only calls they're getting every single day. So imagine their attitude.
Right. So they're tired. They're like, it's like if I call you 8 times for a car warranty, right? Everyone hates car warranty people now, right? It's like the joke of the current times. Or if you're a realtor, health insurance for NAR members. That's my new favorite. So it was the same, right? So I'm like, okay. So I did some research. I found a different script that worked a little bit, right? And the different script was, listen, it was the quote unquote, I have a buyer script.
Oh my goodness.
I don't have a buyer, right? I'm lying to you.
The bait and switch, script.
Correct.
And that always pops its head everywhere, right? In every single sales funnel, every single process. It takes skill to that. That's not easy to do. That is a hardcore kind of sales tactic, right?
Right. So that worked for a little bit. Then they go, why? So, well, that's fine. I'll pay you if they sign paperwork. And I go, oh, I don't have a buyer. So then when COVID hit, I said, okay, we'll do it differently. Since we can't go see your home, I said, listen, I have a bunch of buyers, you know, do you mind if I come in and shoot a video real quickly for, 10 minutes of your house so I can share it with my buyers, right? So you don't have people coming into your home. And that worked for a little bit too. Yeah. And then that got old. I'm like, well, listen, I'm doing this wrong. Like I'm keeping the same approach. Like I'm just shooting a little bit differently. I'm like, let me just flip the script. Like no one provides value to FSBOs or to their geo farm or to expireds. I said, okay, so the first thing I did is I wrote a book on how to sell your home.
I got you.
It's like 82 pages, but it legit teaches them everything from start to finish. So for me, there's a roadmap in my head when I teach it to FSBOs. There's 9 steps to sell your home, right? So, and they're broken up into 3 different tiers. So there's a planning tier, which has 3 steps. There's a preparation tier, which has 3 steps. And then the promotion tier, which has 3 steps. Cool. So the book walked them through everything, right? Curb appeal, how to stage, how to sell, how to price it, how to market it. I even gave them ad templates in the book.
Wow.
But I also casted doubt, right? So these are all the things that you can do, but you really can't do it, right? So that was the first thing I did. So I had that kind of in my arsenal. So then I said, well, let me just get a data scraper. Let me get all the for sale by owner information, which we did, and let me go differently. So now what I do is, and I use Craigslist as well. Craigslist kind of get your eyebrow.
Yeah, like really?
Craigslist,
is it 2013
like
again? Sorry, 2010, probably 2010 again. Holy cow!
Right, but it works, right? People don't realize it's indexed by Google search. Just like when you use YouTube, right? You're jumping on Google, right? Google is the end all be all. If I want to learn how to do something, I Google it. So the different ways you can do it. I'll get a data scraper. I'll scrape for sellbyowner.com. I'll scrape Zillow. We scrape different for sale by owner sites that are selling. So like if they're selling for sale by owner on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, we're scraping all of that data. Cool. So we're getting their phone numbers, their emails. Right, that's nice. One way. And then what we're doing is we're shooting 9 videos, which are all value based. And the 9 videos go over the 3 tiers, which is planning.
I got you. It's kind of like an easy way to consume your book. That right. Information, those steps, those 9. Yeah, with 3 sections, 3 steps each, right? Yeah. Right.
So it's those 9 videos. They go over timeline, what we call a home inspection. Right. It's home inspection. What our system is for a selling score, what that means to the people, preparing their home, comping their home, listing their home, attracting buyers, negotiating, closing. So we do 9 different videos, and I call it the funnel-less sales funnel. So we take all their data, and we make a custom audience in Facebook, and we run Facebook ads. Video views, they cost like a penny, 2 cents a piece. Wow. And the videos are on landing pages, right?
I see what you're saying. So they click on the ad and they go see the video. Gotcha.
So they're on,
and it's like how to do this on your own. That's the pit. Like, hey, figure this out. Step number 1, and so on and so forth. I love that. That's really awesome.
So in their value add, so they go to landing page, right? It's pixeled to Google Analytics. So now they're going to see me everywhere when I retarget. But the first video is just value. So we give them a quick 3-minute video. At the end of the video, listen, if you found value in this, the next step is this. Click this link to go look at that video. I don't ask for a phone number. I don't ask for an email. I don't ask for an address. Nothing. Cool. My ask is nothing. Watch the video if you like it. Great. They go watch the second video. Same thing, new topic. Listen, this is, the next step is this. We give them kind of like a jump. I call it a jump, right? Or where a couple different things, but really the next big thing is really big, right? So go watch this video. At the end of the 3rd video, now we've gone through the whole planning stage. So now if they watch these 3 videos or a portion, we retarget based on percentage of videos viewed. That's all geeky stuff. Not really necessary. Once they've watched that 3rd video, like they're ready to list their home, right? At that point, we hit them with an A/B offer at the end. So they watch the video, and then listen, I wrote a book all about it. If you're more a reader, if you want something you can go back through, here's my book. It's free to you. It has an ISBN number. They can buy it if they want to. It's $40. 2 options. I can ship it to you for $7, or I can go drop it off at your home to you.
I love that. That's a good pitch.
And then while I'm there, if you don't mind, The next step is really to get your home selling score.
Yeah.
So you know what your home will do in the market.
Is that the home inspection, that generating that home selling score? I got you. So you evaluate and go, okay, this is what you're going to do in the market.
So once I get through 3 videos, then I ask for things, right? Because now I built that trust.
Yeah, 100%.
Everyone else is, let me list your home, list your home. I don't want to list your home.
And they want to fight, right? Like let's bring up. Let me just try and beat you down. Yeah.
Right. Because really, at the end of my 3rd video, it's a call to action, right? You can get my book. You can go watch the next video. You can tell me to screw off. You can want, or I can bring the book to you. But really, I know that homes that score X amount on my home selling score are seen as the best buy in the block and sell for highest dollar for most amount of time. That's what you want, right? They're going to say no. So from there, while we're there, we're taking pictures. We say, listen, I'm going to build you your own free website, single private website for your home. Share it with your friends, share it with whatever. That's also pixeled in Google Analytics, right? So now I'm getting a lookalike audience or another custom audience to build off of that. Share it with your friends. It's just value, right? And the whole pitch is, while I'm doing the home score, is listen, I don't want to list your home, right? If you find you want to listen to me afterwards, I'll list it. It's not my goal. My goal is to get more inventory for my buyers, help you sell your home.
And that is that's massive, right? That's because there is no inventory, right? There's like the nationally, what was it, January, hit 2 weeks inventory for the whole country in January. Ridiculous, right? So yeah, 100%.
Right. And then the goal is, listen, I don't want to list your home, but know that if you sell this, you have to buy a new home. My only ask is that if you buy a new home, you think about me.
Cool. I like that.
At this point, I've built my brand. I'm the expert. I've given you a ton of value. My small ask, listen, if you buy a new home, let me at least interview, right? That's the first step.
I guess.
If they go into videos 4, 5, and 6, the offer changes. Once again, it's the book if they want it, the free home score. And listen, if you want to sell on your own, I'm going to teach you how to do it with my book. If you want more, bigger audience, I'll do a limited listing for you in the MLS.
Like training wheels. Like take a dip a toe in there, very safe. Let's see what can happen.
Right, it's a stepping stone, and I give them a couple of options. Listen, the base option to get you a bigger audience. You can sell yourself. I told you how to do it. I tell you how to do it. Sell yourself $500. You do your own stuff. Or I give them a graduated commission, 2%, 3%, 4%, right? With different options. Because there's
no pressure, right? You decide.
There's no one size fits all. A lot of them will start with the $500 because in their head, oh, I can sell that house, no problem. Yeah, it's not hard. Houses are selling, in a day or a couple
5 minutes, right?
So from there, and then what we do is we call them every Monday, every Friday. Every Friday is, hey, listen, how many showings do you have for the weekend? And every Monday is, hey, listen, is it still on the market? And of course, the answer is always going to be yes. So, has it sold yet? No. Oh, that's too bad. Do you know why? Oh, I don't know why. Okay, well, then I give them a little hint, right? Well, listen, based on what I'm seeing, maybe change these few things. And the more no's you get, the more they figure out that I can't sell on my own. I'm frustrated. I have strangers in my home, right? I don't know how to negotiate a contract, and then the last hook is depending on which package that they choose, right? $500 or 2, 3, 4% for the listing side. The buy side is always 2.5%. Is listen, when you go buy your new home, right? If you did the limited listing, if you buy your new home with me, I'll give you that $500 in a credit at close on your new home. Right. So what they're doing is they're really selling the home for free, right? $500. If you buy with me, I give it back to you. What's $500? Because the average, if I have a buyer over the lifetime of their cycle, they're worth 7 times their initial buy, right? And if you convert a FSBO, they're going to tell everyone about you because they hated realtors.
100%. And I think that's a big reason why, like I said at the beginning, people go in there with combat, right? But 99% of agents never go in. because they don't want to talk to someone that hates real estate. I mean, understandable. I get it. I'm not, I don't want to poke fun at that, but they go into it assuming that they're going to get a lot of hate and a lot of frustration, a lot of, it's like another version of the expired problem. But FSBO is unique, right? Like, hey, that one from the start, they don't want to work with an agent, right?
Well, and most FSBOs have had a bad experience. And I'll ask them, listen, I get you want to sell yourself. Can I ask you why? Like, why do you want to sell your home yourself? Did you have a bad experience? If you did, let me apologize for that agent, right? Because a lot of them have had a bad experience. And some are super arrogant. Well, I can sell it on my own. But with the offer, once they really start taking action, $500, you get in the MLS. It'll be gone in a couple of days if it's priced right. I'm not going to price it for you. You're on your own. Or 2, 3, 4%. Same thing with that. If they buy their next home with me, I will credit them 1% back on their commission. It's, I want to list your home.
You're giving them a lot of reasons why, reasons to say yes. Like there's very little reason to say no to that offer. It's a good offer. It's a good offer. Solid offer.
It really just lowers, the risk, right? The cost risk analysis, right? Like it's kind of a no-brainer. And it's just different. No one's doing it. Like if you call on them, you have commission breath. That stuff stinks. 100%. No one likes commission breath.
100%. No, absolutely. And a question for you, Ed, because a lot of times for FSBOs that I see, for again, not all of them, but a good number of them, it's going to come down to that price discussion, right? Like, hey, they have to get, if they want to get everything ready, yes, they have to get the home ready, everything else, the marketing, but they have to get realistic on price. How does that conversation usually, how do you approach that conversation with someone? Or by the time you're at that point, is there trust there? Is that an easier conversation for you? I think a lot of agents get stuck there. Even if they're having a conversation with some owner, they're like, yeah, but I listed the home, but I couldn't get them to come down on price, right? So they're going to sit there on the MLS as well. So how do you approach that problem? Because I think it's a big one when you're talking to these folks.
Sure. And I think a lot of them have these outlandish expectations, right?
Oh,
well, yeah. My neighbor's house sold for $800,000. Well, your home was worth $750,000, right? And this is why. And that's where like the home selling score kind of stops us. So the home selling score, it's 4 pages. I have it in a form in my tablet. Then I print them a copy. They have it, right? So even if they don't want to talk to me afterwards, they walk away with a home selling score by room, right? What to fix, what not to fix, what's different, how they are different than the market and comparables. And then I leverage that for the conversation. But by then, they already know, like, and trust me. I've given them value.
I think that's half the battle right there. Like because if you want to approach that topic without a relationship, the answer is no. Like you're crazy. Hard. Obviously, you want to do that, right? Because you want to get more. You just want to get it sold. No. You don't care about me. You don't care about my net. You don't care about me making any money, right? So I can see how that part of it can be huge, right? That they actually listen to you. Ed's giving me a lot. Ed's helping me, giving me a lot of value, giving me more value than most of the agents have ever tried to do, right? So like, hey, then he must know something. You must know something about something. You find that they're more receptive to your message because I'm guessing for a lot of them, you have to have that conversation at some point.
You do. So I'll push this as far as I can go, right? And if we're still at an impasse, I'll say, listen, Bob and Sue, let's do this. Humor me for a minute. I'm going to go find a comp that is the price you want to list at. I said, let's go see one house. I said, I want you to see what $800,000 in your neighborhood will buy you. And if you think that your home is equal to that home, I'll list your number.
I love that.
Right?
I love that.
Because people see their house as their home, right? Their house as a home, right? Like they have memories, right? It's different, right? And I tell them, listen, it's like, say, buying a used car. To the buyer, it's a commodity, it's a house. There's no memories attached. Little Bobby didn't take his first steps over here. They don't care. They're comparing you to everyone else and looking for the best value or something at least that's comparable. It's a hard conversation because they're super attached.
Yep.
Right?
100%.
They just think that they have the best home. And if you just go, listen, I'll go show you one home or two homes, where you want to list that, and a home where I think we should list that. And let's look at 2 homes. At that point, it's up to you. You're the boss, right? I drive the car, but you tell me where to go, right? I work for you. More often than not, if it gets to that point and they see the house is $800,000 versus $700,000, they get it.
I get you. I get you. No, that makes sense. And you know, it's not just that, it's the journey to get to that conversation. I think that is like half the battle. That guy, I can see that working. But I'm like, you know, they wouldn't even get in the car with someone, right? If they don't even have something that's driving them to like, okay, well, I think Ed's a good guy. I think he's an honest guy. And let me see what he has to say, right? So I think it's both things, like that journey and giving them that example of, okay, can you arrive yourself at that decision? You get there. Is your motivation strong enough to like get you to that, to get it sold? Like, this is what it's going to take to get it sold and get real with it, right?
You know, and then if they want to list at their price, I say, listen, based on data, you're going to be probably on the market for X amount of days before you even get an offer, right? Oftentimes I'll try and negotiate and listen, if we don't have an offer within 7 days, 10 days, let's agree to these following price reductions.
So up front, you have that conversation with them up front. I love that too. Building it into the schedule is great than having to give them the bad news a week later, right? Hey guys, and then that's your day. And that's like the end of the, oh, you're like everybody else. 100%. You're up front with that, saying, hey, if this happens, what are we gonna do? This is what we're gonna do, right?
Right. Let's have a plan.
Okay. 100%. I love that. And as you were developing this process, this system, was your team implementing it? Are they now going out and doing this with FSBOs in the area? Is this something that you're only doing on your team? You're the FSBO converting guy. How have you taught your team about this?
So I started doing it. So this was really a takeoff from geo farming. So this started off as geo farming, right? Cool. It's mailers. It's so kind of the same thing. Or it's ads looking for a move up, right? Hitting the pain point. It's an ad on Craigslist, cost me nothing. Listen, if you're thinking about selling your house, this is the market. These are the challenges you face. You know, how do you plan on selling a home and buying a new one, right? So we give them an option for, quote unquote, a free cash offer solution where they can sell their house to my mortgage broker and buy the new house cash, right? So it gives them, so it's kind of like ribbon without the big fee, right? 2% fee.
Gotcha. Absolutely. Love it.
You know, so that kind of pain point. So now
power buyer, what do they call those? I forgot what they're called. I think power buyers. I forget. Yeah, it's a popular model.
So there's a couple different ways you can do that, but yeah, power buyers is one of the options. But about hitting the pain point that no one else is hitting, right? So those are going to be a listing and a sale, those kind of things. But I started doing it myself and handing those off to my people until I kind of felt comfortable. Because after the third video, they also get redirected to a 10-minute webinar, which gives them the option to book a time to call or book their home inspection, which is where they're calling me, they're going on my schedule themselves.
That's the FSBO calling you kind of aspect of it, right? I love that.
Right. That's awesome. Then I worked out those, you know, the first 10 or 12 of those were kind of rough. So like I worked out the kinks, right? I saw the error in the way I spoke to them. And people don't realize you can change a few words or the tone you say it. It's huge.
Big difference.
So now a lot of my agents do it. A lot of my coaching clients do it as well. I kind of keep it really small. I don't want everyone doing because then I have to find something else to do, right? So I want to be the pink sheep in the field of white.
I got you. No, that makes sense. No, I mean, and you know, it's complicated enough to where I go, oh, let me go try that out. You need, you know, this is not, there's a lot of terms that are out there around retargeting, the funnels, which seem key to the process. Not like a small detail you can kind of glance over. It seemed key to the process. That it's like, oh yeah, let me just go do that. This actually takes a lot of work. And unless you have, because you brought a lot to bear onto this process from your past experience around digital marketing and creating these funnels and targeting folks and figuring this out. But you brought it to bear on a funnel, a process you could use it in, right? That wasn't just home list ads. That wasn't just, because that was a lot of the tools got taken away, but you found a way to kind of get it in there and kind of and add value and to help take them across this funnel. Like I said, I understand the invisible funnel concept now. It totally makes sense, right? They're just getting educated. They're not in the funnel. You're not asking for anything, right? I think those opt-ins and those, you know, sign up thing, the conversion rate drops massively when you put those in. Yes, it qualifies the lead more for sure, but there has a cost, right? And with someone that already hates agents, you got to be really careful with that. I love that insight that you gain, right? Hey, give it to them for free, 100%. Take it. It's there, right? And I think a lot of agents, they use that as leverage. Hey, I've got all this knowledge, but you got to hire me, like right now, like sign the listing, right? And that's the combative approach. That's the one where I have to defeat you, and then you're gonna comply. You're gonna obey what I want, right? And that's, for me personally, that's a tough one. That's probably why I never did a lot of FSBOs when I was an agent, and geared more towards other sources. But if you find a way to flip that script, it can be really, really valuable. So Ed, we're almost out of time here. I want to thank you for jumping in, sharing this massively valuable bunch of information for folks. A lot of great stuff in the talk today. How can folks continue the conversation, learn more, connect with you on Facebook or the website, your coaching program? What's the best way to connect with Ed?
I would say send me a friend request and hit me on Facebook Messenger, or really the best way is to text me. I can give you my phone number. Facebook Messenger gets buried sometimes.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely.
It's awful.
Yeah.
But not even like a coaching, like I can give you then the framework. Like if you don't know nothing about funnels, it's pretty easy. Shoot 9 videos. Like give you the 9 videos to shoot. Most CRMs have a built-in landing page, like KV Core is a big one. We can build landing pages. You don't have to do the retargeting, it helps. But just getting the steps. I'll certainly give some guidance. I won't give everything away, but I'll give you the guidance where you can kind of do it yourself, because it has to be your own thing, right? It has to be you in a video, because what I say isn't the same as what Bob would say, because really it's about branding. So not only are you helping them, you're also branding yourself as someone who just wants to help, right? So for me, my geo farming, I started around my neighborhood, right? I did a 5-mile radius.
Nice.
FSBOs, like you can go to like FSBonanza.com. My buddy Chris has a good scraper there. You can get,
I love that. Great name too, by the way.
You can get the scrape data. You don't have to pay someone to scrape before. You can get it yourself. It's free.
I got you. Yeah, that's the good thing about FSBOs, right? They want to be found. The FSBO's not hiding behind, an MLS contract or anything like that. Right? It's right out there. Please give me a call, right?
100%.
Love that. Awesome. Ed, thank you so much. This has been an awesome talk. Tons of value here. I love it, both for our agency owner audience and for a real estate agent audience. So both folks, great stuff here for everybody. Thank you so much, Ed. Appreciate you, and this has been a great one. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Gus.